whatever your mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve. Now, conceiving it is easy because you just say, well, I want to make $1 million being an artist. Believing it.
It's another thing. Yep.
So that's the kind of exercise Think and Grow Rich puts you through. You repeat your goal so many times and it's so specific that one day your brain believes it.
Yeah.
And once your brain believes it, you're
Watch out. Watch out. Watch out.
Yeah.
Welcome to another edition of TM3 Impact. Today, I have two incredible San Antonio heroes, legends, and I want to introduce you to them. Today, we have Mario Lopez and Lionel Sosa. Thank you so much for being on TM3 Impact.
It is our honor. For sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm honored. So, Mario, we start off real quick, kind of like Cliff Note version. Remind our listeners, you've been on the show before. How did you end up in this amazing city, San Antonio?
I ended up in San Antonio because I got hit with a 300-pound IED in Afghanistan. So I did all my recovery here at BAMSI, and my family lived 2 hours away near Corpus Christi. So just naturally just stayed here, met my wife, and so just put some roots down, and here I am.
And you love it.
And I love it, yeah.
It's a great area.
Yeah,
it's a great area. Lionel, tell us the rich history of your San Antonio story.
Well, I was born here. I've been here for 86 years. It's a wonderful city. We wouldn't live anyplace else except in the summer when it gets so darn hot. We have to go to Mexico to stay cool. But I've been very fortunate. I was born on the West Side and had so many opportunities that just came my way by luck. And I got into art early, into graphic design, and that led into advertising. And you know, it just one opportunity after the next. And like Mario, you know, you look at everything in a positive way. You look at everything as a good opportunity, and it's those opportunities keep coming our way, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. It's like they're preordained or something, like God had his hand in it or something.
Making it happen, making it happen. So a little bit about the history. How did you guys meet? I want to know that story, because where did that come about where you guys got a chance to meet?
Mario, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So I was at HEB, our famed grocery store, HEB, and this gentleman's wife came up to me and my wife, and she's like, "Just tell me your story." And so we're in the produce aisle for about an hour, and I was telling her my story.
No,
yeah,
was that Kathy?
No, this was Warren Tishner's wife.
Okay,
yeah, and so then about maybe 2 weeks later, she's like, "I'm gonna have him give you a call." And so he called me, and she didn't tell me who he was. And I was like, I spent a lot of times around psyops and maybe some CIA types, you know, in theater, and I was like, this guy's a spy.
It was when Lionel called you?
No, this was Warren.
Warren. Okay, got it. Okay,
so he was the ambassador to Geneva. Wow. And so he was under Trump's. Oh my gosh, he was under Bush's.
George
team.
W. Bush.
George W. Bush's team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he became friends with Lionel. And you gonna tell the story?
Yeah. Well, Warren and I have been friends for a long, long time. He and his brother and sister owned almost all of the Spanish language television stations around the country. Mm-hmm. And when I was in the advertising business, we, of course, needed to use radio.
Yeah.
And we put he became our go-to guy in terms of being able to buy ads for Coca-Cola or Burger King or Procter & Gamble all over the country with just one call. And so we had become good friends, and I put him in touch with George W. Bush because we were doing the advertising for the Latino market. Yeah. So we were into the Latino market together. And he became one of the trusted advisors to President George W. Bush. And he was appointed then to be U.S. ambassador in Geneva by George W. Bush during his presidency. So he is an ambassador. And he is a very, very important man in government. And he just happens to be my friend and Mario's friend as well now.
And he got y'all connected.
Yes, he got us connected.
So where did y'all first meet? Did you meet at an art show?
We met at his hangar. And,
okay.
He went to his hangar, and Lionel came in and just changed my life.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I love it.
But yeah, Warren has a big, beautiful airplane that he flies all over the world. Yeah. And he's been a very fortunate man. He's made a lot of money, a lot of friends, a lot of contacts. And he's been able to put together, I mean, he can just make a phone call and just get a hold of just about anybody.
That's cool.
So.
And that's the beauty of, don't you feel like that's the beauty of San Antonio now? Like when he mentioned, he said, hey, I think you want to have Lionel on the podcast. And I go, yes. And I said, can you make that happen? And he started the text message. And there was a point there I was like, I wonder, is this really Lionel? Is this Lionel Sosa? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, this is super cool. But that's San Antonio. That's the connection that we have. We're one phone call away from people in our city, which is amazing. I love it.
Plus, it's a very inviting city. You know, if somebody comes in from out of town and can offer this city something, welcome. Come help us be better.
Yes.
You know, it's not a city that closes itself off to people that are coming in. And, you know, there's so many examples of this. When Ed Whitaker from AT&T wanted to make San Antonio the home office instead of St. Louis, he came here, everybody embraced him. Before him, General McDermott that started USAA, he wasn't from San Antonio yet. The community embraced him. Why? Because people that come from other places make our lives better, just like immigrants that come from other countries make our country better.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So let's start with military, because I looked a little bit at your history. Marines, talk about like your mindset. I know you were thinking you were an artist growing up. You wanted to be, was Disney in the picture before the military or after the military?
Well, I always wanted to be with Disney. I thought that I wanted to be an artist more than anything else in the world. And I thought of, well, maybe I'll be a Picasso, or maybe I'll be second in command to Walt Disney or something very important. So I was always fantasizing about how my art career would go. And because of this, I was always into art. And I drew pictures and I drew them again and again and again. And suddenly that became my world, because, you know, you draw a picture and people see it and says, oh, that's a great picture. You're so good. You're so talented.
Yeah.
So you go, yeah, I guess I am.
Yeah.
And you start believing.
For sure.
PR, you know. So, yeah, I was always an artist. And I think that Mario has always been an artist as well. And that was a big connection between us.
I see. Yeah. Now, but what drew you to the military? What made that connection to go, you know what, I'm going to go in and join the Marines?
Well, unlike Mario, I am not really a military man. I just wanted to get it out of the way, you know, to be very, very frank.
Okay.
And I was thinking, okay, if I do my military service and I do it quickly, maybe I can start on my life working as an artist. And so right out of high school, 3 or 4 friends of mine and I signed up for the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
We went out to Camp Pendleton in California, and we went through boot camp. And we had, and for me, it was, at that time, you had choices. You could either serve in the military for 8 years, 7.5 years in the reserve, and 6 years in active duty.
Okay.
That's the one that I chose.
Okay.
And I was in the reserve for 7.5 years. We
Okay.
went to monthly weekend meetings.
Yep.
And that was my stint. So the fact that I was in the Marines doesn't make me tough or anything like that. It was just a way to get that service out of the way because you were obligated in those days. There was a draft. And if you did not volunteer, they would draft you whenever they would want to draft you.
Okay.
And you had no choice. And I didn't want to be in that situation for 8 years.
That makes sense. I get that. I get this. So you said, okay, I'm going to go into the reserves, be able to do what I want to do, and then serve on the weekends. I get that. Yeah.
Serve if I'm needed, because if you're in the reserves, they could call you up at any time.
For sure.
But only if they need you and only if they don't have enough volunteers doing it.
Right. I totally get that. Now, when you joined the military, were you like family that joined did you have any family that joined the military at all, Lionel? Any of your family?
I had my uncles that fought in World War II, and there's all of those stories about their heroism and so forth.
Okay. Any family members for you, Mario?
I had one uncle, but he lived in Oklahoma.
Okay.
So we didn't see him that often. And so that was the only family member. So for me, it was like, if not me, then who?
And what was the catalyst? Remind me of the catalyst. I know you shared in the last 9/11. That's what I thought. Yeah. I remember that. So then, Lionel, you come out of the military. You start designing signs. You start painting signs. Was that out of the military or while you were doing your reserves?
No, that was after the military. I applied to Walt Disney Studios.
Okay.
And to my surprise, I didn't get hired to be Walt Disney's second in command. And so I came back home and I didn't have a job. I wasn't, because I really was unprepared for not having a job. I really believed it that much. And so my dad said, look, you can paint signs. I know you can because I've seen you do it as a kid. So why don't you just put a sign in our front yard that just says signs?
Yeah.
So I did. I did a beautiful little sign out there, put it in the backyard. A couple of weeks later, my first customer appears.
I love it.
And
advertising works.
That does.
It works.
And he was an insurance man, very famous in San Antonio. His name was O.P. Schnabel.
Oh, my goodness.
Schnabel.
Wow.
And he had an insurance company, Jefferson Standard Life Insurance Company. And the way he promoted himself was he would buy these trash cans and he would put them up all over downtown.
Okay.
And on the cover of every trash can, the trash cans were about 3 feet long and about, 18 inches wide. And it said, be a beauty bug, not a litter bug, courtesy O.P. Schnabel, Jefferson Standard Life. And so now he had a couple of hundred of these trash cans all around downtown and on the periphery of downtown. And they were getting old and they needed repainting. So he said, I will pay you $1.75 for every trash can that you repaint for me.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, minimum wage was 40 cents an hour.
Okay.
$1.75. How many of these trash cans? Oh, I got a couple of hundred. Oh boy, I can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize is that I had to take the trash can down. I had to get rid of all the trash that was in them. I had
to clean them
and wash them and sand them. Spray them all gray, and then letter them, then put them back up again.
Wow.
So I would load my 1951 Hudson Hornet in the back trunk and in the back seat with trash cans. I would empty it out in my backyard. And I did this for about 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
So I made a little money, but not a lot because there was a lot of work. But that really taught me that, things don't come easy.
Yep.
That if you want something, you really have to work hard for it. And that if you keep your mind focused on what you really want, something will eventually happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Mario, do you remember your first job? What was your first job?
Well, my stepdad was he worked at a restaurant and he was the manager sort of.
Yeah.
And he was like part owner, sort of. So, um, uh, I just worked there, and so I was working there when I was 14.
You do it like was it a restaurant?
At a
So you're
restaurant.
doing a little bit of everything, bussing,
Yeah.
cleaning.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's fun.
Yeah, killing flies too.
That'll keep you busy. My first job was at HEB. I was a bagger at HEB.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and then they finally allowed me to. I passed the test to be a cashier. Well, this was back in the early '90s. So that was my first job. Now, so going back, so Lionel, the transition from the signs to you at a certain point, you were working at a neon sign company.
Yes.
And I heard the story. A young lady walks in needing a sign for Napoleon Hill like franchise. And have you ever read the book Think and Grow Rich? Have you read that yet?
Okay. Yeah.
So Think and Grow Rich has been one of my all-time favorite books. But you tell the story of hearing her, but I want you to say that story again for our listeners, because I've actually done masterminds on this book. I've had some of my listeners read this book, and it's really cool to hear your version of that story and what happened, and then the promise that she made if you actually finish the course. I want you to share that because I think it's classic, but it's interesting because I would imagine a lot of that came true. A lot of what she promised you absolutely came true. So talk about that.
Okay, my job at Texas Neon was to make little drawings of signs that would one day become a reality. So the salesman would go out and say, such and such could use a sign. And if they had a bigger sign, more people would know that they are there, and they would increase their business. So I want you to draw this big sign in front of this insurance company, whatever it was, real estate company. And so I would go take Polaroid pictures of the building, and then I would draw what it would look like at night with a big neon sign that would be lit. Very, very glamorous little drawings. And I was in the back room doing that. My room was adjacent to the salesman's room, so I could hear everything. Every time a would-be customer would come in, I could hear the conversations. So this lady, she was not a young lady at the time. She was probably in her 60s, something like that. And she came in and said, I want to sign under my canopy. I'm going to open up a school called the School of Personal Achievement. And I wanted about this big, and the salesman calls me in here. Calls me in there. Says, Lionel, would you draw up this sign, the one she wants? I said, yes, but I got very curious. The School of Personal Achievement. What in the world is that? And she said, I'm. If you come to this school, I'll make you a millionaire. Wow.
Sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
You'll make me a millionaire? Absolutely. Guaranteed 100%. How much does it cost? $250. Tell me about it. Well, you go. It's all based on this book called Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah. It
has 17 principles of personal achievement. Every week, you will be taught a principle for 17 weeks. You show up at 5 in the afternoon. It goes on till 8:30 at night. And we'll tell you all about that principle. You learn that principle. We'll give you a workbook. You do the homework. You bring it back the next time. We discuss it. We'll go to lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, and so forth. It costs $250. Well, making 40 cents an hour. What the heck? I can't afford it. So I went to my dad and I said, hey, can I borrow $250? And he said, no, we had a deal. Remember now, my dad had a deal with all of us kids. He says, I'm going to take care of you till you're 18. When you're 18, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. Don't ever ask me for money. And I will never ask you for money when I'm old. I'm going to take care of myself in my old age. I will never be a burden to you, and I don't want you to ever be a burden to me. You are on your own. And he told me this, all my life. And so I knew it. It was seared in my brain, but I said, what the hell? It won't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
And I said, can I borrow $250? He said, absolutely not. I said, can you go to the bank and co-sign for me?
Wow.
No.
Oh.
Well, how can you help? I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's go to the bank together. We'll go to my banker. I will vouch for you, but I will not sign for you.
Okay.
I know that you'll pay that money back.
Yeah.
So I will promise the banker verbally that you will pay that money back.
Okay.
We did that. We went together. I still remember the banker's name, Jim McCann. And my dad said, Jim, Lionel needs $250 to take this course, and he will pay you back.
Yeah.
He will pay you back. I know he will. And he will pay you back not only on the due date, he's going to come in person, put that money in your hand 3 days before it's due.
Wow. Wow.
Lionel, would you do that? Yes, sir. I sure will. And
what bank was this again? Was it
National Bank of
National
Commerce
Bank?
at the time?
Yeah.
National Bank of Commerce. It was downtown. It's a hotel now,
Yeah.
but at the time it was a bank. And I got the $250. I went in, I paid, and that book changed my life. It changed my life because it's so simple to understand.
Yeah.
And it gives you one rule at a time. And the first rule is have a goal. Have a clear goal, not just a goal. I want to be happy. I want to make money. No, make it specific. What are you going to do to achieve that goal? When? What will you give in return for the money that you want to make? How much money are you going to earn? By when are you going to earn it? And what are you going to do in return for that money? So you write it down, and they make you write it down and repeat it over and over and over, and write it in little notes and put it on your mirror when you're shaving in the morning, when at night when you're brushing your teeth, all over. Just keep repeating that goal again and again. And then the other key thing about it is it doesn't make any difference what that goal is. It can be any goal you want, any goal you can. Whatever the mind of man can achieve, you can. Whatever the mind of man can dream about, you can achieve.
Yeah.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe.
Yes.
Now I've got it very specific. It took me a while. Whatever your mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve. Now, conceiving it is easy because you just say, well, I want to make $1 million being an artist. Believing it.
It's another thing. Yep.
So that's the kind of exercise Think and Grow Rich puts you through. You repeat your goal so many times, and it's so specific that one day your brain believes it.
Yeah.
And once your brain believes it, you're
Watch
all
out.
in.
Watch out. Watch out.
Yeah.
It's interesting because what you took that into is your first goal was to have the largest graphic design. Was that the first goal? The largest graphic design
in
company
Texas. Mm-hmm.
in Texas. And within 5 years, oh, by the way, did you repaid the loan?
Oh, yeah.
How long did it take you to repay it?
Well, whatever the payments were,
Yeah.
But instead of waiting till the end of the month, I broke it up into 4 payments. So every week I would walk in on Friday morning and I would hand the money in cash to the banker.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Which I would imagine that was it sealed in you, well, number one, repaying back, but also sealed in you the commitment that I got to do what I say I'm going to do, right? You got to be a man of your word. But I just looked it up. Do you know the value of $250? And this was in the 70s or 60s?
This was in 1963.
Oh, in 63. So probably more. Well, I put it just 70s in general. That would be valued at $2,065 today.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine our kids coming up and saying, I want to take a course that is $2,000, right? Like, that's what it would be like. I'm just thinking to myself, like, Enzo, you need a job. My son's name is Enzo. It's like, we need to get you a job, $2,000. So I could get the sense of how big a deal that was. But look at what's transpired since then.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, you went on to create not only the largest graphic design company, but then you said, I need another goal. And you created the largest Hispanic advertising firm
in the country.
Yeah. Right? That's, how do you, this is something that's really interesting. Help me with this, Lionel. How do you, when you've achieved a goal, because sometimes I know for my generation, when you achieve something, there's almost like this moment of just like,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
There's this moment of like, I'm here and I like it here. Right? How did you reset and go, now I need another goal? How did you do that?
Well, it's in the book and it tells you, once you've achieved a goal, enjoy it for a while.
Okay.
But if you don't set another goal at some time in the future, pretty quickly, you will fall back because you can only enjoy it so long. And then you can only, do nothing more for a while. You can, you're swimming and then you float for a while, but then floating becomes a little bit dull. I got to swim a little bit more. You know? And I think that's one of the things that's so important because achieving your next goal is what keeps you going, what gives you life. And as long as you're productive, and I learned much later that as long as you're making beautiful things with friends, things go well. And I learned that from a 20-year-old kid. Because I was asking him, I ask people, young people all the time, what is your goal? And most kids says, I don't know. There's just so many things I could do, or I haven't made up my mind yet, or I don't know yet, or I don't know. But this kid said, I want to make beautiful things with friends.
How long ago was this?
7 or 8 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
I hadn't read that in any book. I'd never heard that from anybody else. But I thought, my God, what an amazing singular goal to have in life. As long as you're making beautiful things with friends, somehow you're happy. And it always has to be with friends because you can never achieve anything alone. And that's principle 2 in Napoleon Hill.
Got to do it with people.
Oh yeah,
you got to do it with people.
Got to do it.
Yeah, and so I know we obviously we could do a podcast. His story, right? We could do a 3-hour podcast. But some of the amazing achievements, the presidential campaigns, being able to work on those, starting with John Tower. You get this opportunity to work with John Tower. You help him raise awareness with the Hispanic vote, and he ends up. I heard he barely won because of it. Barely ended up winning. You go on to form Sosa Bromley Aguilar and Associates. That ends up basically getting up to $200 million in advertising revenue at one point, which that became the largest Hispanic-owned advertising agency at that point.
Yes, it did.
And then working with Coca-Cola, Bush, American Airlines, then being named in the top 25 most influential Hispanics. And so when you think about all these achievements, right? You're here. How old are you now, Lionel?
86.
86. You're 86 years old. When you think about all that you achieved and you look back on it, when you were in the moment, did you realize, hey, I might be achieving history here?
No, not at all. I just wanted to make a buck, I just wanted to make a living. But when you are open to opportunity, it's amazing that it's all around us all the time. The difference is some people can see opportunity and some people don't. And I think that's a frame of mind. You have an open and positive attitude. You expect good things to happen, and they keep happening. You expect people to be good people, and all the good people show up. If you don't fear that somebody's going to steal from you, nobody steals from you. If you feel that everything will always turn out all right, somehow I think it does. Because I've gotten to know in my lifetime many, many, many multimillionaires, Warren Tichenor, that both of us know, Mario and I know, are
Not me. You're pointing at me. Like, that's not me.
you know him too. You're a multimillionaire in many ways, Mario. You are. You've got the best soul of any human being that I've ever met.
Which is worth millions.
Special. Oh yeah.
Praise the Lord.
Yep.
Oh yes. Oh, absolutely. So it's a matter of looking at expecting good things to happen, and they do.
Yeah.
My mom once said, okay, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to be twice as good, and you're going to have to work twice as hard because you're a Mexican. And if you are twice as good and work twice as hard, you'll be seen as an equal. You won't be ahead of the game, but you will be equal. And once you're equal, that's all you need, But you have to be twice as good, and you have to work twice as hard. So that's when you're 8, 9, 10 years old and your mama tells you this, of course you believe it.
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to work twice as hard. Of course I'm going to be twice as good. Otherwise I won't be even with the rest of the world. And she says, now, and nobody's going to discriminate against you. You know why? Because you don't expect discrimination.
Yeah.
People that expect discrimination get it. It's out there.
Yeah.
And people get it, but you won't.
I love that.
So you don't expect bad things to happen. You don't expect discrimination. It's out there.
Yeah.
But somehow it doesn't apply to you. It's such an interesting thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Now, when you think about in terms of, the climate that we're in, I asked some dear friends, I said, hey, if you got a chance to talk with Lionel Sosa, what would you ask him? And you've talked with this gentleman. You've probably shared many talks with Raul. And he said, from ad man to presidential advertiser, this is Raul Lomeli, from ad man to presidential advisor, what mindset or principle helped you earn the trust across politics, cultural, and generational divides? Right? Like what was able, and you kind of touched on that a little bit, but then how can we apply that to our world today that seems so polarized?
Well, I think the big thing that all of us, the three of us and many, many people believe is that we're all equal.
Yeah.
The Lord made us all exactly the same. Nobody's better than anybody else. We have different talents, maybe different levels of intelligence, but as people, we're all equal. Nobody's better than anyone else. So when you when you really feel that, because you know it, I really believe that God is part of us and we are part of God, and that that equality makes us one. So I've learned that to respect anybody and everybody, and that and not to feel that somebody's better than me or more important than me. If a president of the United States is sitting right here with us, he's no better than us. He just happens to be a guy with a different position, but he really puts his pants on the same way that we do. He does. He has problems. He has doubts, and like all of us do. People are no different in their core. They think they are. Some people think they're better. Some people think they're smarter, but they're not. Everybody's the same.
I love that. And if I think more of that was across the world, that'd be better. That's for sure. That would definitely help with that polarization. Now we got to get into art, because when Mario said, "Hey, you've got to meet Lionel. We want to promote this event." We have this Freedom Isn't Free event that's coming up, Mario. It's an art event. It's a concert. It's July 19th. Mario, speak to this event a little bit, and then let's talk a little bit more about the art and what connects you guys.
Okay, so we got about, I think we're gonna have like 40 veteran artists that are United States service member veterans, and we've had a lot of these shows before, but I would encourage the veteran service organizations to come out and talk about what they do. But I was like, a lot of them are shutting down these days because of the economy or just people losing interest in veteran, struggles or whatever. So I was like, well, why don't I just bring them in and we can just throw a show together. And so we did that, and we got Jeffrey Steele. We wrote a song together. It's called "A Certified Survivor."
Oh, nice.
And so he's a 2-time Grammy writer, singer, songwriter. Oh, I messed it up. He's a 2-time Grammy singer, songwriter.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we're flying him down from Nashville, and him and his wife, and then we got Three Beards. They've played all over the country, and they were at Trump's inauguration in 2017. They played for that. It's just a veteran band. And then we've got Johnny Sax. He plays the saxophone a lot in Stone Oak area, and he was a driver for 3 presidents, so he has some pretty interesting stories. You probably can't tell them all, but
that's cool.
I think he drove for George W.H. Bush, for Bill Clinton, and then for George W. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So admission is only $10. They can get a ticket for $10.
Yeah.
There's art that they can purchase.
Art, yep.
Right? There's going to be shows. There's going to be food. Food is not included, but there'll be like food trucks.
No, they'll be at the, because it's inside.
Yeah.
It's an AC.
Oh, there you go. That's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned it.
The AC.
Yeah.
It's in July. So the venue has
Norris
food.
at the Norris Convention Center. Everybody knows where that is.
Yeah.
Everybody, Norris Convention Center, very easy to get to off of 410. Yes.
North Star
Just right by North Star Mall. That's fantastic. And then all proceeds, this is going where?
The proceeds are gonna go to the so we could do it again. So yeah.
I love it. So this is supporting veterans. We want everybody to come out to that. Yeah. And then, so for Lionel, the art for you just finished the 5 panels on San Pedro Creek. And I was watching a video about, how you guys put that together, you and your wife working together, Kathy. Number one, talk about the beauty of being able to work with your wife, because I've been married 25 years. My wife and I've been working together for the last 15 years. So talk a little bit about that, and then this project of the 5 panels at San Pedro.
Well, actually, it's her project.
Oh, I love it.
I was her helper.
Okay, so you got to help her out. I love it.
Yes. She did the... filled out all the requests for proposal. She made the presentation. She conceived the whole idea of telling the story in 5 panels. Yeah. And how San Pedro Creek was such a critical part of our history. Because San Pedro Creek, now that it's open, for many, many years, it was just an underground gully. Nobody even knew it was there. Now it's opened up again. It's beautiful. UTSA has built a campus there. TPR, Texas Public Radio, is there. Penners is there. Yeah. Now the beautiful Intercontinental Building will be there. Yeah. It's close to Mi Tierra and all of this place that for so many years lay fallow, that is now going to come to life again the way it did when I was a kid. And the Alameda Theater had opened, and it was the biggest and best theater in America. And it was a Spanish language theater. All of that is coming across because Nelson Wolff willed it so and was able to get city support, county support, state support, federal support of the many, many millions of dollars that it took to open it up and make it almost into a second river walk. Yeah. And you can walk it the way you can walk the river walk. There's no restaurants, but there is art everywhere. Yeah. Every place you look, there's another big mural that a San Antonio artist painted. The one that Kathy and I did has 5 panels. They're very large. They're 12 feet high by 28 feet wide.
Wow.
And they are all finished in porcelain tile.
Yeah.
We did the original in oil. And then there's a company up in the state of Washington that transfers that art into porcelain tile so that it'll be here 200 and 300 years for 300 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, to paint that, like if you were trying to paint, what was it? What's the dimensions again?
It's 12 feet by 28 feet.
I can't even imagine painting that. That would be really difficult.
Well, it's done by a lot of muralists, including our daughter, who is a muralist.
Oh, really?
It's on the walls, and she paints it.
Wow.
I wouldn't dare to do that at my age, but you get to do it at home. We actually started it while we were in Querétaro.
Okay.
And we had bought a little house there, and they were working on the house. So we were living in one room, working in one room, cooking in one room, and everything else was happening in this, sleeping in one room.
Wow.
And it was a test of our marriage for sure.
Of course.
Because she was in charge.
Yes.
And, I got used over the years of being in charge, but this one I was not.
Right.
And so I just follow orders. And she made it happen. And she told the story in such a way that when you go and you realize the importance of that creek, because that creek was the dividing line between the Latino community on the west side and everybody else in San Antonio.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. That's where all of the people came back and forth that were traveling the trails, the cattle trails and everything, north and south, from Mexico all the way up to the north. And that's where the hotels were, overnight hotels. That's where the red light district was. And then it kind of became the unsavory part of town where the poor people would live. And the lots and the houses are way smaller on the west side. So you can never appreciate and value the way that they do in other places where you've got plenty of acreage and so forth. So that dividing line tells a big story about San Antonio. The jail was on the bad side of town. The stockyards were, also a lot of good things. Our Lady of the Lake University, St. Mary's University. But mostly it was the things that other people didn't want in their backyard.
Well, the interesting thing, I just did a tour of downtown West and what they're doing, what Graham Weston is doing with 300 Main. And I don't know if you've seen this, Mario, but 300 Main is the apartment complex, the Floodgate. Have you seen the Floodgate yet? The Floodgate Apartments, which is literally like you can walk right to San Pedro Creek. It's less than, I would say maybe 200 yards from the Floodgate, and 300 Main is all right there. What's going to happen in the next 2 years of downtown West with San Pedro Creek and all of this new housing? There's going to be, I want to say, 1,000 to 1,500 apartments on that side of town within the next 2 to 3 years, which is now going to create a livable downtown where we've got restaurants. So you'll have the tourist side, and then you're going to have like this more, I would say, kind of downtown living, urban living side. Have you seen the 300 Main?
I've seen the planes for 300 Main. It is beautiful. I want to move there.
Spectacular. It really, it's a game changer. The Floodgate, it's a game changer for downtown, which is awesome.
Does it look like the Pearl, like kind of the Pearl is? A little bit?
Well, have you been to San Pedro Creek?
No.
Oh, it's brand new. It's better than the Pearl.
Oh yeah.
It's prettier.
I have not seen
because it's
it.
brand spanking new. I was just there about 2 months ago. It was fairly chilly at that time, but literally everything is right there. You got the theater, which they're trying to bring back the theater. Aren't they really close to getting that renovated? They're raising money, right?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They have been for quite a while, and I think everything is coming to fruition now.
Okay,
Where
good.
There'll be another theater in town, a smaller version of the Tobin, you might say.
Right.
But it's going to be its own specialized venue that will be hosting mostly Latino talent.
Yeah. Which the other cool thing about that area is just the walkability. People, you don't realize how close you are to the Alamo from there. It's really close to the Alamo. It's not, we're talking like 5 or 6 blocks. But when you get downtown in any other major city, like Chicago, if you go to New York, you go to any major city, 5 blocks is nothing. In San Antonio, it's like, oh, we need an Uber. It's just, we just have a different mentality. But you would never do that in Chicago. You're never going to do that in New York. You're going to be like, all right, let's just start walking, you know? But I love the fact that, you know, that Graham Weston and Team Urban Development, their team over there, I just think it's going to be a fantastic, in addition to the art that you and your wife were able to bring. But where did the idea of portraits come into all of this? Because you've been doing portraits for people for years. Where did that even come around?
Well, it was kind of part of my desire to just be an artist. And I find that the human face is the most fascinating thing to paint because there are no 2 faces that are exactly the same.
Yeah.
And yet, unlike a tree, you know where things are going to be. An eye is at a certain place, the other eye is in a certain place, the nose goes here, the mouth goes here. So there's things that are more constant in a face and yet more expressive, at least to me. When I start painting a portrait, I almost start talking to the person that I'm painting with, and they start telling me their secrets, and I start sharing what I think. We talk politics, we talk about family, and somehow or other, I build up this spirituality with each person, and in many, I put a halo around them.
Yeah,
you know, there's this portrait, but every person has this spirituality part about them. And when I put that in, it kind of makes it a little bit different. I painted a portrait recently of Sandra Cisneros, the writer and poet. And I kind of made her into, there's a very famous painting by an artist by the name of Sargent, who painted Madame X. And if you see a picture of Madame X, you might recognize it.
Yeah.
But it's a very elegant woman in profile.
Okay.
So I took Sandra's picture in profile and I kind of did a version of Madame X, except now it's Madame S because it's Sandra. And so I was kind of talking with Sargent, the original painter, and talking with Sandra at the time and kind of looking at her poems. And she's got one poem that starts off, I believe that I am God and you are too. That's the way the poem starts.
Yeah.
You know, we are all one.
Yeah.
So she's got a beautiful way with words. I love her poetry and she happens to be a good friend. So I'm very fortunate.
And how many portraits do you think you've done over the years?
Oh, I don't know, hundreds. Not thousands like Norman Rockwell.
Right. We were just talking about that earlier. Yeah. Hundreds you've done. Mm-hmm. Which is your favorite? I mean, if you were to pick a favorite.
I really don't have one.
Yeah.
I struggle with some more than others. Some of them got, actually, I did a portrait of Mario.
Who's your favorite?
Right here. That's funny.
I was wondering if my ears were.
Right answer.
That's funny. That's funny.
I was wondering if my ears were burning when he was talking to me for like 3 months. My ears were burning. It was painting me.
Well, you know, the only reason I didn't mention that because I think kidding. that Steve did a better portrait of you because that got into an international contest of portraits. That became a semi-finalist into an international competition of about 5,000 portrait artists from all over the world. So I did a portrait, but there's a better portrait of you
Yeah.
No, y'all both did a great
I want to
job.
see them both. I want to see this.
I'll
Yeah, I want to see.
I'll send
Man,
it to you, yeah.
send me a pic. I want to see it. I want to
It's
see it.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
I love that. I love that. So now, how did you get into art, Mario? Tell me about that. I know we mentioned it a little bit, but we didn't get to go in depth on the show the last time.
So my dad he would draw, and he was a mechanic.
Okay.
And so I'd see in the curio cabinet, he always had a picture that he drew. You know, it was like a mom holding a baby. And so and then my mom, she just thought of anything and she would bring it to life. Like she would make like puppets, like Jim Henson puppet type stuff. Like, she just loved puppets. She'd and then my stepdad, he was a woodworker, and he would build this like a jungle gym, like a fort house. He would build the porches and stuff, and so I kind of just took all those experiences and just kind of like brought them into one. And I was making signs and yard art, I would call it.
Okay.
Like, do y'all remember like back in the day whenever people would make like a 101 Dalmatians and they put out for Christmas or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd do stuff like that. And everyone loved it. And then I joined the Army, and then I just kind of stopped doing that stuff. And then I got injured, and I wanted to get back into woodworking, but I looked at what I had left, and I was like, I don't want to cut my hand off, you know? Like, so I was like, why don't I just do something not so invasive and dangerous, and let me do just painting. And so my mom actually bought my first one, and it looked really weird. And
Your first painting?
my first painting.
Of course, mom's got to buy your first painting. Of course.
Yeah. And then I would just to, you know, cause I was transitioning from the Army to civilian life, and I was in the WTB, the Warrior Transition Battalion. And I just had a lot of time on my hands. And so I had gotten divorced at that time, and I had this big giant wall, and I was like, well, let me just start putting some paintings up there. And then so my mom came, and she's like, I like that one. And I had like probably like 20 of them out there.
Yeah.
Right. The 16 by 20s, I have about 20 of them. And she's like, I like that one. I was like, okay, well, you're my mom, and you know, you can have it.
Yeah.
And then my friend who saved my life came over, and he's like, I like that one. I was like, okay, here, you can have it.
Yeah.
And then my friends' friends would come over, and they're like, I like that one. I was like, well, that's gonna cost you.
Yeah.
So then my doctors and psychologist workers and you know would ask me, hey, what are you doing these days? Well, I had an iPhone, so I just show them. They're like, I like that. I want to buy it. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's amazing. And I was like, okay. And so then my one social worker, she got a hold of La Prensa newspaper, and so they did a piece.
I saw that.
You saw that?
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah, just today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just today.
And then that piece ran, and then I guess this was in 2010 or 11 or something.
Yeah.
2010. And then they had from that newspaper, there was a really well-to-do couple that invited me to Corpus, and they, because that was where I'm from, you know, so they were following my story, and there was like, out of Alice and Corpus, they're really close towns together, and it's like New Braunfels and San Marcos, right? And there was like 4 of us, like 2 got injured and 2 passed away. So they were following my story and my family, and they had an art show for me, and they were like, I'm gonna show you how it's done. So I went to Yacht Club, and I was just there, and I'm just like, where am I? Like, what is this? And all the mannerisms, and Miffy, and all this, it was like, it's true. It's really, you know, the personalities like that, you know, and we had an amazing art show, and I just took all the lessons I learned, and I just repeated it, you know. And then I noticed all my veteran friends, they're more talented than I was. And I was like, hey, well, they're not selling, or they'd tell me, I'd ask them, how much is that painting? It was like a 48 by 60.
Yeah.
And he's like $200. And it was gorgeous. And I was just like, yeah, I need to talk to you.
Yeah. I need to help you out.
I need to help you out. And so I actually told him, his name is Ghost. I actually told him, you're the reason why I started this.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, I never heard that one before.
Yeah.
But he's a really talented artist. He actually painted the VFW, that big mural that he had on the side. Y'all
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah.
Is it recent?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to go
They
check
just
it
had a
out.
ceremony like 3 months ago, 6 months ago, or whatever. But it's huge. I saw a picture of it and I didn't know how big it was. I'm saying it's a whole side of the building.
Oh, wow.
It's like probably 75 by 100 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
But and then so I just met people like that, other veterans, and I was just like, and there's no other better place to be than your brothers in arms, I feel, because they're going through a lot of the same things they're going through.
Yep.
And it just feels good.
Yeah. Well, that's why this event is so important. Freedom isn't free. July 19th. Is that, what day is that? Is that a Saturday? On a Saturday in the AC.
In AC.
We got to make sure everybody understands it. Tickets are only $10. Please come out, come support. There's going to be art that you could purchase. A lot of veteran artists. Mario's going to be there.
Too.
Vendors as well. And in Lionel, for the city of San Antonio, what would you say to people that are coming out to support and just to encourage them to be a part of something like this? You've done it many, many times. What would you say to people just to say, hey, you need to be there?
Well, this one is unique among art shows because it is veterans, many of them wounded veterans, that are finding their lives with art. And they're either doing it full-time or part-time, but it is art that comes from their experiences in the military. It is art that comes from their experiences as a person, and from experiences with a family after they return from having been in a terrible place, having been injured, come back to find another life, and paint their version of America, their version of family, their version of the future. It's beautiful in that I just came back from visiting the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, and he painted Americana.
Yeah.
He painted the American flag many, many, many times. People in World War II and how America was seeing the military both from this side and from that side. And this is kind of a bit of Americana, a little bit of what Norman Rockwell brought to us many, many years ago. But it's a combination of people with a unique experience, a unique view of patriotism, and a unique new look at America.
I love it. I love it. Well, definitely, we're going to be posting this and telling everybody about this. Mario, thank you. Thank you for introducing me. And we've met before, but reconnecting Lionel and I from we were met at LSA. I really appreciate the opportunity. Lionel, I would love to talk even more later at another time. When you get back from Mexico, let's do it again. We'll jump back in here and do it again. Because listen, I am a Napoleon Hill fan. I love his books. I even have the 25 or the Laws of Success book that he wrote, which is this correct? Help me with this. Did he wrote the Laws of Success first, and then he basically, it wasn't as successful. He wasn't able to sell it as much, but then Think and Grow Rich, which I heard he never liked that title. that he wasn't a fan of that type. Did you ever hear this story?
I did not, because he does talk a lot about money. At the time, money was almost the biggest thing, that if you achieved material wealth, in the 30s and 40s and 50s in America, and to some extent, that's still the version of America, how much money you make determines how important you are, which it has nothing to do with that. But there is this American mentality that business is first and wealth is first, and that is prosperity. Well, I think that that type of thinking, while it's not the basis of art anymore, is still something that is kind of in the ether all over the place. Yeah,
for sure. And so we'll definitely get into it. I guess the last question I would ask you, this would be, because a lot of entrepreneurs listen to this podcast. And so one of the things that always comes up, which is another cool question that Raul was talking about, is having partners in a business. Like, usually you may have one partner. You've had multiple stints where you've had multiple partners. And talk about, how do you make sure that you align with the right partnership? Speak to that a little bit for people, because, there are times when you need a good partner. There are times in life where being married, like I always tell people, like, who you marry matters, because we wouldn't be talking without my wife. I outkicked my coverage. We talked about that earlier. But on this point of partnership, speak a little bit to that, to the entrepreneurs that are listening, about why partnerships are important and how to make sure you align correctly.
Well, I don't know that you can ever make sure 100% that who you pick as a partner is going to be the ideal partner.
Okay.
I have had many partnerships. Of course, the most successful one is having married Kathy, who is a hell of a lot smarter than I am, and a bigger thinker than I am, and a bigger intellect than I am. And I couldn't do anything without her, because she's my North Star. But I've had many partnerships, and some have been better than others. The best was Sosa Bromley Aguilar, because Ernest Bromley is an amazing man. In fact, he's coming to my house next week and cooking pizza for us.
Oh, get out! That's awesome.
We've remained good, close friends, but it's having a team of people that has the same vision, the same goal, wanting to be the biggest and the best Hispanic advertising agency in the country. That was a goal we all shared.
And y'all wrote this down, like y'all like y'all would sit and think about this.
And repeat it again and again. Every 2 weeks, we had devoted Saturday mornings from 8 to noon to talking about what we would be doing in the next 2 weeks, and what the situation was with our clients, where the problems were that we needed to solve, where the opportunities were. And we enjoyed just talking as friends and as business partners about what the next step for the next 2 weeks was going to be.
Yeah.
And they were very enjoyable meetings, where I certainly looked forward to all of them. But, and that was because each of us had a role that we agreed to at the beginning. The role was that Ernest would take care of running the day-to-day operations of the agency. He would be in charge of media, and he would be in charge of research. And Al Aguilar would be in charge of new business and client happiness. And that I would be in charge of the creative product.
Interesting. So you had every facet of it really broken down for an agency.
And each one of us had a particular talent that we were good at. And then to this day, I can't read a financial statement. I am not good at math. All I know about business is it's successful if you take in more money then you
Did
spend.
you spend?
Oh,
I love it, Lionel.
you take in $1, you spend 80 cents.
Yeah.
And you keep that 20 cents.
I love it.
And that's all I know about business. But there's different talents that different people can bring to a partnership. And if you let that person use that talent, as long as the same goal and the same vision is there, as long as all of you want to get to the same place at the same time, and you let each other trust each other,
Yeah.
that if we have a disagreement and it's about the operations of the agency, it doesn't make any difference if Al and I had one point of view and Ernest had another one. He was in charge, and that would be his decision.
Yeah.
Same thing in creative, same thing in keeping a client happy.
I love that. You leave the decision making to that expert in that area.
Exactly.
And that way you don't have to.
question it.
Yeah, you don't question it. And that's the thing about partnerships. If everybody wants to be the chief, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. And that's where I think that's where this in this generational time frame is that everybody wants to kind of be the chief, and they're not willing to say, hey, here's my talent. I'll be here. You go work this side of that. And that's where it's a little bit, everybody wants to kind of do their own thing instead of coming together.
Well,
And y'all build something big.
yeah.
Wow.
Everybody wants to feel important.
Yeah.
That's common among all human beings.
True.
We feel fulfilled when we think we're important.
Yeah.
If we don't think we're important, something is missing. So if you don't have something, an agreement that's, that's you have a handshake on that agreement. You don't have to write it down. You can if you want, but you don't have to. When you trust the other person to know more about a particular aspect of running the business than you do,
Mm-hmm.
and you have full trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wouldn't do it that way, but I trust that whatever you are saying is going to work. Go for it.
Yeah.
And then you feel comfortable about it and you don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And second guessing is definitely, it's almost like it'll ruin a partnership so fast. You just can't second guess. You got to let them do what they're talented in. Listen, Freedom Isn't Free, July 19th. That is going to be on a Saturday at the Norris Conference Center, right there off of 410. Mario, thank you again for the opportunity. Any final words as we close out here about the event?
Yeah, I just want to let people know that just please don't assume that a lot of people are going like, please come out and support these veterans, because, this is Military City, USA, right? And let's just show these veterans that we care.
Yeah.
Just showing up.
Yeah.
Just for them just to see, you don't have to buy nothing. Just come see what they've been spending their time on doing.
Yes.
And I think, it'll be a good event.
Is there any way that San Antonio businesses can sponsor this event?
Yeah, there's if you go to ncagevent.org,
Mm-hmm.
there's sponsorship, that's still open.
Okay.
Able to sponsor. We got like less than 2 months now.
Okay.
It feels like 2 weeks for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's gonna go by
2
like that.
days.
It's gonna go by fast.
And then we have some promoters and stuff like that are going on, but they just tell me, oh, you can't say anything until two weeks out. And I'm like, I am shaking in my boots. We got to get people there now.
And I will say, I mean, I've done a lot of events. We just did a huge event in San Antonio. We had 539 tickets sold for an event. It's called the Luxury Real Estate Summit, and it's for realtors, business owners, where we have speakers, and we literally just did it in February. We started in January, which was probably not the smartest thing to do, but we were able to get out a lot of video. Soren helped with that, and video is powerful. I will tell you, my challenge to you, Mario, is let's get a lot of video out. We're going to take this. We're going to get lots of clips of this. Mm-hmm. Get out that video. You and I should get out to Norris Center. We make another video just to put it out there. The more video that you can do, the more people will come. I think that's what really helped us, make our event a success. So let's make some more video.
I need help.
We got you. We got you. It's super easy. I'll show you what I use, and then we'll make it happen. Lionel, it's an honor. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. And I look forward to doing this again. Enjoy Querétaro. You're going to have a great time.
Thank you for the invitation. It's wonderful to be close to Mario again.
Yes.
Yes.
My hero.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys have an amazing day. Thank you for being on TM3 Impact.
Thanks.